the worst possible thing that could ever happen to the First Nations community of Canada. Worse than colonialism, worse than even the smallpox infested blankets that the white man gave to the natives in an attempt to wipe them off the face of the planet. Even worse than the contaminated water that natives are forced to live with on many reserves across Canada, and the federal government has not spent a penny to fix the problem, but they are all too willing to give billions of dollars to Indonesia to help them fix their infrastructure, African and Middle Eastern nations to help them with their food crisis, and more recently, Jordan to help them fix a road between one of their borders. The worst possible thing that could ever happen to the First Nations population, the one sure thing that will eliminate and destroy the First Nations community, is another term of Justin, the long-haired macdaddy Trudeau, as Prime Minister of Canada, this vice president of all of the regions of hell put together, Satan's one-man minion, Justin the long-haired macdaddy. He is going to be the end of the native population. Now, you might be thinking, oh, what's this black dude have to do about natives? This black dude don't know nothing about natives. What's he talking about? I'm gonna vote for the long-haired macdaddy any time I want. I ain't gonna let this black man tell me what to do, even though this black man has native blood running through his veins just as much as black blood. But let me tell you something. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Let me explain what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that the policies and the methods by which the long-haired macdaddy has run this country has done nothing to help the First Nations man, whether it's the doctor, whether it's the lawyer, or whether it's the shoeshine boy. The native population has not benefited from the long-haired macdaddy. In fact, they have gone down. Let's take the poisonous water, which I talked about. At this very moment, as we speak, there are many native reserves in Canada, which the water supply is contaminated with diseases. Now, I don't know, maybe the government put the disease, maybe the government did it, who knows? I wouldn't put it past them. Maybe they did it. But needless to say, there are native reserves which are contaminated with poisonous water, and natives are forced to drink it. They are dying, and the government has not spent a penny to fix the problem. Not one stinking red cent to fix the problem. But the moment some Muslim nation is in trouble, the moment some African nation is in trouble, the moment they come a-calling, the long-haired macdaddy springs into action and gives the 40 acres and the mule to the Muslim nations, billions of dollars to Indonesia to help them fix their infrastructure. That's a fact. Billions of dollars to Middle Eastern and African nations to help them with their food crisis. Billions of dollars to Jordan to help them fix some road. And this is recently. Look it up. It's recent. I can put the link right there on the comments board. I can put the link up of all the spending that this long-haired macdaddy has done to fix the problems of other countries. Meanwhile, natives are living with poisonous water. This guy, and the reason he is a macdaddy is because when he was running in 2015, he was supposed to be the messiah for the native people. He was supposed to be the God sent. He was going to make sure the native man had his 40 acres and the mule and lived happily ever after. And natives are getting worse. Unemployment for natives is worse. Social breakdown of the native family is worse. Education for natives is worse. And it's going to get even worse. The economic problems for natives have gotten worse. Natives are finding it harder to find jobs, and they're going to find it even harder with this minimum wage increase now that's happening. Don't you think that you're going to be a part of it if you don't have no job? Don't you think you're going to be a part of it? You go sit right there on your ass, just like you are right now. I mean, you might as well pick up some shoe polish and be a shoe shine boy and go on the streets of Toronto, be a shoe shine boy, make your own money, but you're not going to be a part of it, because the thing is, my friends, is that these businesses, now, while I do support an increase in the minimum wage, and I do feel that the minimum wage should be linked to inflation, I also feel that you have to give something to businesses in return so they can afford it. What I would do is get rid of all taxes for businesses. All taxes, they don't pay a penny in tax, but what they do is they have to pay a minimum wage, a $15 minimum wage, give their workers free health insurance, free retirement insurance, and complete 100% coverage of the job workers' compensation. That's what I would do as a substitute for taxes to the government, because I feel that more money in the pockets of workers is much better than more money in the pockets of the government. That's what we would do. But the government is putting in a carbon tax. They're raising taxes on businesses. Hydro bills are going up. Water bills are going up, and as a result, they cannot afford any extra expenses. But now this government of Kathleen Wynne, who's a liberal, another liberal, Kathleen Cowperthwaite-Wynne, who is just the long-haired macdaddy's sidekick. I don't know, maybe they're having sex with each other. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Well, Kathleen Wynne don't like men, so I shouldn't say that. But that is going to make sure that the natives don't find work to begin with. The native will never find any work. Most natives live in rural Canada, and the thing is that rural Canadian unemployment is at an all-time high. Rural Canadians are not going to find work. If you live maybe in Toronto, maybe that's where jobs will grow, or in Montreal or in Calgary, maybe. But you live out there in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, or the Choctaw, Kapuskasing, Ontario, or you won't find anything. You will just sit there on your ass. And I mean, you better, as I said, pick up some shoe polish and be a shoe shine boy, because you're not going to find any decent work. It's just not there. It's just not there. So what I'm saying is that the policies, and not to mention Canada's safety. I mean, this land, which is native land once, I mean, is very unsafe, allowing all the refugees who belong to the same background as terrorists to come in here. You know, we don't know where they are, or who they are, where they come from, you know, allowing ISIS to come back in here. I mean, the long-haired macdaddy has realized that he can rely on the Muslim vote and the minority vote and forsake the Canadian vote. So he is not going to pay attention to the natives. He is not going to pay attention to the white man. He is not going to pay attention to natural-born Canadians like myself. He's not going to do it. He doesn't care. He has realized that he can rely on outsider votes, bring more people into the country, whether illegals or refugees, and court them and just say, forget the natural-born Canadians, and that's just going to put natives even further behind in the back of the pile. So, as I said, you know, natives really are not going to have it well. Natives, I feel, if the long-haired macdaddy gets another term in 2019, and the reason I'm talking about natives, the reason I'm trying to talk to natives is because natives are the second most people who voted for Justin Trudeau in a landslide. All far and wide, they lined up to vote for the long-haired macdaddy. The first was, you know, minorities, Muslim immigrants and stuff like that. But natives really came out in force to vote for the long-haired macdaddy. I'm not saying Harper was perfect. I'm not saying the Conservatives are perfect. But I'm asking all natives who are watching this transmission, if you are going to vote, I am begging you, I don't care if you want to vote for the Green Party. I don't care if you want to vote for the Marxist-Leninist Party or the NDP. Do not vote for the long-haired macdaddy. He does not have your interests at heart unless you like. I mean, I'll tell you, the long-haired macdaddy is similar to the disease-ridden smallpox blankets that your ancestors were fooled into sleeping with. So are you going to follow the same mistake that your ancestors did and sleep in the smallpox-infested blanket? Justin the long-haired macdaddy Trudeau is the smallpox-infested blanket, and you are going to sleep in him, and you are going to die. That's what's happening to you. His policies, his economic policies are going to kill you. His social policies are going to kill you. And, you know, of course, he has no regard for you whatsoever. I mean, you're living with poisonous water, for crying out loud. I mean, you would think that something like Darfur or some African nation or something. No, this is right here in Canada. How is it that the natives have to live with poisonous water when everybody else in Canada has the cleanest drinking water known to man, but native reserves, most native reserves are living with contaminated water, and the government isn't spending a penny to fix the problem, but they're all too ready to spring into action for every other country. Does that alone should tell you that, look, this guy doesn't care about us. If you want to vote for the long-haired macdaddy, I mean, okay, fine, do it again, make the same mistake again, but you're going to die. You're going to sleep in the smallpox-infested blanket yet again, just like your ancestors did, and you're going to die if you vote for the long-haired macdaddy again. This is the Arana Nation. God bless you. I wish you all the very best.